to take one moment. Welcome. We're just going to do a quick sound check, as always, before we switch from unlisted to public. If you're just joining us today, I hope you're doing well. We got a very nice snowstorm here in Windsor last night. I might be talking a little bit about fall prevention because Freemasonry, we do have a lot of older members, a lot of members with mobility impairments. Falls are dangerous for anybody of any age, but I think they can be especially concerning for those who are older. So fall prevention might be something to consider. Let me see though if the audio is working. And we're good. Okay, let's switch this from unlisted to public. And let's wait to see who joins. Let's chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Again, the first hour we just hang out. The second hour we have our specific topics, our specific discussion points. Let me actually go to my channel. Let's do it this way. I'm going to be posting some poll questions soon. Some quizzes on the stream very shortly. By the way, I am one sub away from 3,300 subs. I was at that yesterday, lost a couple. It happens. So let's give it a few. Let's wait to see who joins. And yeah, let's just hang out and chat. But like I said, today I was thinking about maybe potentially discussing fall prevention, which is an important thing for Freemasons to think about and to keep in mind. On Sunday, I'm going to be having a bit of an experiment to try something to get ready for next week, to get ready for the 21st and the 24-hour live stream. So tune in Sunday at 6 p.m. Hello, Mobius1 ISEF. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, and I hope that everything is going well for you. I know many jokes. How many Masons does it take to change a light bulb? It's a secret. Evening, Dylan. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. I have not built a castle. I could not build a castle. My castle would fall down. It would be pretty terrible. So I should not be asked to build a castle. How is it going for you, Critter 3? I'm doing well, Dream Seeker. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well also. Fishin' Charlie, I do not know what the difference is. Well, what do you call me goofy for? How's it going? Thank you for being here. Please take a moment. Again, hit the like and subscribe button. I very much appreciate it. An infection. I've had many infections over the years. I've gone to the doctors. Thank you, doctors, for treating me better or treating my infections. It's been a little while, I guess. I got to clean up my house, Dad. If your house is probably 10 times cleaner than mine. I got to clean up my house for sure. It's on the list, but I've just been so busy. I never get around to it. I don't know what that means, Graham 1115, Graham Good. Hello. Blocked up with this channel with Freemasonry. I had a meeting last night with Rose Lodge. It was wonderful. A little bit of snow and rain. Well, it was mostly just snow. It was gross, disgusting snow, and it's very cold. However, that did not stop Rose Lodge from having an excellent meeting. And thank you, Rose Lodge, for having me out. And also thank you to Bill Ritz. He's been on the channel before. He brought some paintings for the Windsor Masonic Temple, which we put up there. Give the people something to look at and something to see. It was really, really cool. Um, Joshua Fregua. Can you give me a deeper understanding of Freemasonry? I mean, I hope so. The purpose of this channel, right, is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. But at its core, what Freemasonry is a civic or community group or organization, which evolved from stonemason guilds of the Middle Ages. Really, at its core, it's no different than when you're a kid and you decide to create a clubhouse with you and your friends. It's about that desire to be part of something greater than oneself. So, yeah, tell your cleaning lady I say hello. Um, Tell her thank you for, helping my dad keep his place clean. And I hope that she's doing well. I was raised with third degree. I promise. I promise. Joshua, did my answer make sense? Did it help give you a better understanding of Freemasonry? And if it did, do you have any more questions? Um, Maybe there is Ben Bobson, maybe there isn't. I don't tell people about that stuff. For that, if you want to know, you have to join. There are modes of recognition. Um, So, Josh, did my explanation make sense? Graham, same thing. Did my explanation make sense? I hope it did. And tomorrow, we've actually got the Grand Master for Ontario coming into town, which should be really, really fun. Of course, it's supposed to also be terrible weather, so that's a pain in the butt. So, I've never seen any chanting in a Masonic meeting. Um, Really, the rituals and all that stuff, it really is overplayed in the media and sometimes by Masons themselves. Ultimately, what Freemasonry is a civic group, it's a brotherhood, it's a social club. The rituals and the ceremonies are a small part of the big thing called being a Freemason. Um, who can I get my wall repaired? Sorry, we're not that type of Masons, Matthew. I cannot fix anything. Stonemasonry is a profession. Freemasonry is a civic or social club. And it's not Jewish, Spencer Hoffman. We have Jewish members, of course, but we have many members of many different ethnicities, backgrounds, religions, etc., etc. And we do not sell our soil, sell our soil. We do not sell our souls either. My soul seems to be, at least as far as I can tell, still within the body with which it came. Hello, boiling frog. Yeah, mycotrough. That is originally what they were. I mean, originally, what there was no such thing as Freemasonry. There was stonemasons, and their stonemasons were Masonic guilds. Right? The purpose of which was to, it was a trade union. It was to protect trade secrets, get work, um, train or teach apprentices. But then the social aspect of that was very important as well, and that began to attract more and more people interested in it who wanted the social aspect of being part of a union or being part of a group, while not necessarily being part of the professional side of it. I would be a terrible stonemason. I cannot build anything to save my life. Um, Believe me, I wish I could, but that is not a skill I have. My dad had that skill. He was an engineer. He was a guy who could make things and build things. I never had that skill and ability. I can talk. That's about all That's about as far as my skills go. That's for sure. We got some hearts. I'm guessing that's Smokey the Clown. Um, Freemasons do not worship Hiram of any sort. Freemasonry is not a system of worship. It's not a religion, right? We use different figures, mythological figures from a variety of sources, whether it be biblical or um, whatever else it might be, to illuminate certain lessons, but that's not a matter of worship. It would be like saying, do football players worship, I don't know, like Madden? Like they don't worship him. They may use his knowledge and expertise and what he's talked about when determining their own plays or whatever it might be, but that doesn't mean worship. I'll take it. Ron Perlman is a very handsome fella. Oh, how'd the tests go, Dad? I hope they went well. I hope that no issues with the tests. I'm sure that you'll hear back soon enough, but I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, obviously. And tell the past grandmaster thank you. We got some hundreds as well. All right, so let's give it a bit more time. Let's wait to see who joins. Again, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. The first hour, we just hang out. The second hour, we will have specific topics to discuss, including this time fall prevention, because we got a lot of snow here today. So, congratulations, Josh. So, I assume graduating grade 12, or is it graduating university? Either way, congratulations. That is awesome. I hope that you had, I wish you nothing but the best and nothing but success in the future. Do you know what, grade 12, do you know what you want to, I know this is a tough question. Do you know what you want to do with the rest of your life? University, college, take a year off? Any thoughts? Traveling nurse. Okay. Actually, my mom was a traveling nurse, interestingly enough. She eventually she met a British fella and settled down. But for a while she was a traveling nurse. She was in Calgary, if I recall correctly, and then ended up moving to Australia for like a year and was a nurse working in Australia. Um, And yeah, it's funny, if I could go back in time, well, I'd probably go back actually to see dinosaurs or go back to ancient Rome or something. But if I had to go back to recent times or more recent, I'd probably want to go back in time to Australia and see my mom during that year that she was out gallivanting throughout Australia as some type of traveling nurse. Because, I always think of her as just my mom. Um, and you think of your mom a certain way. The idea of her being out in Australia, traveling around, I assume getting into all sorts of trouble. I have a hard time imagining what she was like or what that was like. It makes me really curious. So, um, I would probably try to see her there. So, Joshua, do you know where you'd want to travel as a nurse? Like, do you have any specific locations in mind, or is it just a matter of, traveling kind of wherever the jobs are available? Or would there be some type of like profession or some type of agency that you would join that benefits that you could join, like an organization you could join that would send you to places that kind of takes care of the travel for you? Good for you. I mean, first of all, the fact that you are passionate about being a nurse and helping people is admirable. I mean, being a nurse, nothing but respect. It's a hard job. I worked in a jail for about 5 years, and look, everybody who worked in that jail, nothing but respect for them. The correctional officers obviously deserve all the respect in the world, as do the custodial staff that kept it clean, the engineers who kept the building working and running properly, the admin staff, but also the nursing staff deserved a ton of respect for what they had to do and what they had to put up with very often and taking care of people. I mean, if there was somebody who had a heart attack, a code, tried to harm themselves or harm somebody else, were the nurses were without question, running to the scene. So big ups, big respect to them for that. And big respect to you for being passionate about helping people. So I hope that you are proud of yourself for having that passion. We need more helpers in the world, I think. We need more people who want to help others in the world. So keep up the good work. No, I mean, being a correctional officer is not an easy job. I have nothing but respect for those guys as well. Sometimes you would hear them called screws. Even I call them screws sometimes. But the truth of the matter is, it's an incredibly tough job. Nothing but respect for them. Um, it's not easy. Again, when you think about when you think about like, what is the when you think about like what is a first responder, you know, obviously people think police, fire, paramedics. Without question, a correctional officer is in some ways they are the most first response. They're the most first responding that one can be of a first responder. Because if there is anything that happens to an inmate, it's literally, at most minutes, more than likely seconds from when the thing happens to when they're responding to it. And it could be anything. It could be a medical emergency. It could be a fight. It could be attempt at harming oneself. There's so many different options that it could be. Oh, we got some hearts and some other things. I'm guessing that might be Smokey the Clown. Dr. Jill, you seem like a cranky person. Jewish people are a great part of America. They're a great part of Canada. They're a great part of Freemasonry. Would it matter if I was trans or not? Should it matter? What I am is a Freemason and handsome. That is what is important. Dream seeker. Well, I mean, so I was not a. I have no idea what that means I don't know what that term is. I'm not going to say it because I feel like it's probably derogatory. Slopejaw. It sounds like a very unkind word. I've never heard it before. What I will say is Freemasonry is not meant to be a secret because here I am talking about it. There are aspects of Freemasonry that are meant to be private, but that's different. How do you know what lodge to join? So, Certified Ripper, those are great questions. Um, at the end of the day, Freemasonry is a leap of faith. Now, when it comes to what lodge to join, usually the decision is made for you because usually a town or community, especially if it's small enough, will have a single Masonic lodge, anyways. You want to make sure it's recognized, and um, the way you do that is by asking the Masonic lodge to which Grand Lodge are they chartered, and looking them up online. But usually there's not a lot of options. If you are part of a town or community in which there's more than one Masonic lodge, because the lodge is the group of people, it's like a sports team. Like you may have multiple hockey teams that all play in the same city. Um, that which point, really what you're looking at is first of all, what works in your schedule. So, for example, in this city of Windsor, there are 7 Masonic lodges that meet, but they all meet different nights of the week in the same building, but different nights of the week. So, one of the first questions I ask people who are interested in joining is, one of the first questions I ask is, what day of the week are you available? Are there days that work well for you that don't work well for you? Because that's going to be a big deal in and of itself. And just what works in your schedule. If you're part of a town where there are 2 Masonic lodges that meet in different buildings, which building is easier for you to get to, right? And then um, after that, the question becomes, do you like the guys? Do you enjoy hanging out with them? Get to know them, talk to them. See if you enjoy spending time with them. If, you get a good feeling. But at a certain point, it is just a leap of faith. Um, American communities exist. I love American communities. I spend a lot of time this is a weird light, I feel like. I don't know, how does the light look? I just spent some time in Glenview, Illinois, which is an awesome American community, and a great community in general. I love it. All right, then we're going to go with it. I hope that you're doing well. By the way, high altitude investing. I hope your channel is going well. If you get the chance, I hope that you guys will take a moment to subscribe to Quality of Life's channel as well. He's doing a lot of excellent work. And yeah, I hope that you guys will check him out. He talks about crypto investing primarily. He also has another podcast called Wisdom in Christ, which I actually appeared on. And maybe you want to check that one out as well. It's 2 great channels. Doctor, I definitely don't think America is failing. I think America is going through some struggling times at the moment. But you know what? I think America is one of those countries that can take a licking, but keeps on ticking, in my opinion. So I think America is going to be okay. And like I said, I've said it a million times. Um, I, I consider Canada to be the greatest country in the world. However, um, a big reason I consider Canada to be the greatest country in the world is because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. So that is my humble opinion on that. Are there wokies in Freemason? I mean, well, uh, let's hope there's no World War III jamming. Let's also Canada is not America. My channel's name is Square and Compass Promotions. But if you're asking about high altitude investing, it's high altitude investing and wisdom in Christ podcast. But if you go to high altitude investing, you should find the other one. It depends on the jurisdiction and it depends on the rules that they have. So in Ontario, it's usually you have 1 year to be late. So you have 1 year to pay your dues. If you don't pay them within the year, then usually the next year you're suspended. But every jurisdiction has different rules. And also, every jurisdiction will have opportunities for things like payment plans, deferment. If you think you're going to be late in paying your dues, as a Mason, really what you should be doing is contacting the lodge, letting them know you're going to be late, why you're going to be late, and asking if they can provide assistance, right? It's it's kind of like anything else. If you have a bill and you can't afford to pay it, it could be your rent, could be your whatever it is. The worst thing you can do is choose not to, is choose to just try to ignore your landlord or try to ignore the creditor, right? You need to let them know as soon as you can, like what's going on, why you can't pay, and work with them to see if you can pay over time. And Freemasonry is the same way. Usually, Masonic lodges will give you the chance to, for example, again, you can go on a payment plan, you can get deferments. They may cover the cost for you through, they may cover the cost for you through benevolence, and you can pay it back later. Thank you, Darkness. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Well, Dr. Gill, do not call it that because that sounds very anti Semitic and cruel. So I would not call it that. Um, what are my dues? My dues are I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges. And so my dues are at the cheapest $40 per year, actually $25 per year. The most expensive is 250. It just went up from 175 to 250. Really, the amount it costs for you to be a Freemason, really depends on the lodge itself and how expensive it is for the lodge to operate. If the lodge exists in a small town, usually it might be cheaper, right? But if you, for example, if the lodge is meeting in New York, where space to meet, as well as other cost of living items like even food bills can be more expensive, um, then the dues will go up. But that is a question you should be asking when you are first applying to join or first expressing an interest. Ask them how much it costs to be a Mason, both the one-time initiation fee as well as the yearly dues. Welcome, bad boy. Welcome, light free. How much time commitment is it to be a Freemason? There is no set time limit, especially in North America. As a general rule, like I've known some Masons who, like me, it's 4, 5, sometimes 6, 7 days a week, going for 3 hours, or so a night, combined with practice and studying. I've also, um, I've also known Masons who join, and I see them once a year. Some of them I see them once every 3 or 4 years. They almost never show up. They keep a card in their pocket. Um, and that's the kind of end of it, right? So there is no really time limit. What I would say though is if you want to get more out of Freemasonry, then you need to put more time into it. It's no different than um, it's no different than if you're a member of a gym, right? You can join a gym and you can become a member and you can remain a member for the rest of your life and never show up at the gym, but you're not going to get healthy. The fitness and the health comes not just from being a member of a gym, but actually showing up and making it work and putting in the work. Your man Kool-Aid. No, I'm actually trying to do a poll question, but it's driving me crazy. For some reason, it's not working. It's being a pain in the butt. I don't need to update my dating profile. I'm very handsome. Hello, less hate. Welcome back. That's a great question. High altitude investing. I mean, it's in the DNA of Freemasonry, right? It's in its bones because it started as a trade union and trade guild. Tolerance for a variety of both religious beliefs and political beliefs was incredibly important. Because, for example, if you are a stonemason and you have a job, you're building, let's say you're building some type of structure, and you happen to be doing so in a country or community where the majority religion is Islam or is Judaism or is Christianity, right? It does you no good to be disrespectful of the religious beliefs of the community in which you're working. It's not going to help you get work anywhere. And it's not going to result in a good reputation for stonemasons in general. And also, you could end up on a job site with men of all different religious beliefs, all different political beliefs, et cetera, right? And so, from the professional side of things, it was always baked into the DNA that you had to be respectful of the customs, the beliefs, and the ideals of the community and the nation in which you were working. You were a traveler. And so then when Freemasonry evolved therein, the natural consequence or evolution was to continue that spirit of universal tolerance, right? And acceptance. And in fact, it's so fascinating how so much of the early old charges, like the Regius poem or the Regius manuscript, it's so fascinating how so much of that was actually as much about etiquette as it was anything else, right? Because being a stonemason, it was not just about how well you could do the actual physical labor. That's a big part of it. It's how well you could get along and act in a manner that was, polite, had the etiquette both towards your fellow workers and towards whomever it is hired you for the job, especially if it was like a lord or a king, right? It reminds me of one of my, years ago, this would be about 20 years ago, which is insane. I was taking anthropology. That was my undergraduate degree, anthropology through the University of Winnipeg. And archaeology is a subset of anthropology, right? And so with archaeology, one of the things I got to do is I got to attend a archaeological dig in this little town called Lauder, Manitoba, which is really, really cool and really, really fun. We spent a year, not a year, geez, one semester out of the year, so 3 months, we lived in this small town called Lauder, Manitoba. We actually pitched tents in the middle of the town itself. The town had 8 people in it. We doubled the town population. And we stayed in these tents in the middle of the town. And then we would go out during the day and do the dig and come back at night to the tents. And we had this like clubhouse area where we stayed in, where we cooked the food and stuff. And then we go to the tents at night. But anyways, the whole point I bring this up is, when it came to how the professor graded us on the dig, 60% of our grade was based on our actual archaeological work, like our field work, how well we could dig a hole and all that jazz. And I can't even remember all the different terms and terminology now, but 60% was based on that. 10% was based on our final paper. 30%, though, was based on how well we interacted with the other students and the professors, how well we interacted with our teammates. And he pointed out, he said, look, if you want to be a professional archaeologist, you can be the best professional archaeologist in the world. If you can't work well within a team, if you can't work well with others, you don't have to like them, but if you can't work well with them, you're never going to get hired. So a big part of my job, or his job, the professor, is not just to teach you how to be an archaeologist in the sense of the work. It's to teach you how to get along with others and how to work with others, regardless of their political, religious personalities. Freemasonry is no different, right? To be a stonemason, you had to be able to work on a job site. You had to be able to work with the people who hired you. And if you're a Christian and a Muslim comes along and hires you to build him a mosque, you build him the mosque. Um, sure, I'd love that. I really want to get to Utah. I would love that. I never did any paleontology, which would be really cool though. My stuff was archaeology, so like historical or some prehistory, but doing paleontology, dinosaur stuff would be incredible. I'd love to check that out. I'd also love to have some squid fossils. That'd be really, really cool. So how's your channel going, by the way? High altitude investing. So Neil Armstrong did not. Daryl Brown, Buzz Aldrin did. Buzz Aldrin was the Mason. Um, but yes, he did. In fact, he claimed the moon for Texas, which is interesting enough. I'm a member of Tranquility Lodge, named after Tranquility Valley. I mean, things go up and down, but do you think Bitcoin is going to keep on recovering? By the way, no financial advice on this channel. This is just me shooting the poop. You take your, take your, don't rely on this to invest. SS, I'm going to call you ASSTOLFO. What do you mean? What's with Freemasons in London? Freemasonry, I mean, the first Grand Lodge was formed in London, the premier Grand Lodge of England, formed in London in June of 1717, June 24th, 1717. And then it continued to grow. Um, um, from there. And then eventually, when it became the United Grand Lodge of England, it also, formed again in June of, it formed again in 1813 when the Ancients and the Moderns came together in London and formed the United Grand Lodge of England. Their headquarters is UGLE in London on Queen Street, if I recall correctly. I just visited it. I can't think of the address now. Yes, I got a yam face. Please hit like and subscribe. What the F is what? WB Whacker. Well, I mean, Freemasonry is very popular in London. It's where Freemasonry started. It's declining significantly in membership. And obviously, there is the issue with, I don't even want to call it an issue. I don't think that's the right term. There is the current situation between the Metropolitan Police and Freemasonry and other hierarchical organizations. But the numbers of Freemasons in London and the United Kingdom in general is significantly dropping. I think I heard the estimate is at 200,000, something to that effect, as of this moment. So, I mean, it depends where you are, but in general, Masonic numbers are declining, something to that extent. So, when you say, how does someone join? To be one, ask one, which, by the way, I know is you just asked. What you need to do, light free, is find a Masonic lodge within your area, and, you know, express your interest in joining. So, usually, you can find a Masonic lodge in your area by going onto Google and just checking it out. You can approach the lodge by just knocking on the door. What I always suggest, though, is if you are going to knock on the door, bring with you a letter which has your name and contact info. That way, if nobody is present, you can leave it in the mailbox and just express your interest in joining. Or if somebody is present but can't talk to you, you give them the letter and they can contact you at a time that's more convenient. Um, I mean, there are ASS, there are many Masons in Northern England. I don't know the number, but I mean, I was just in Northern England. I was in Newcastle and Haltwhistle. There are a ton of Masons in Northern England. Again, ton is a relative term, right? Like less than there used to be. Hello, KN. I'm going to call you Negus. Hello, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Again, I know I'm not a big fan of using terms like a lot, a little, because it's all relative, right? I mean, a lot as compared to what? It's tough, but I don't know the exact number. I know 200,000 estimated in the United Kingdom. So, um, but to how that breaks down. But yeah, I really loved being in Northern England recently and visiting with my Masonic brethren there. It was really special. I'm in many lodges. I am in um, Windsor Lodge, Harmony Lodge, Border Cities Lodge, Tranquility Lodge, and Lodge Holy Land out of Israel. I did have some struggles earlier today, but it sorted out. Sometimes it's just a matter of having to turn off and turn on your phone again. I mean, there are some technical aspects to this whole Masonic thing that I'm really not good at. But I'm working on trying to be better. So, the technical side is definitely not my strong suit. I mean, some are, some aren't, but you can't always think about what people are or aren't cool with. Sometimes you need to focus on what you think is best for the craft and for Freemasonry. And you need to be willing to ruffle a few feathers. Oh, that's a great question. High altitude investing. So obviously, the idea of feeling welcome should come before someone is a member. It should start at the application phase. It should start even before that. It should start at the phase of just the approach. Somebody knocks on the door, says they're interested in being a Mason, would like to learn more. You should definitely, in those moments, I would suggest take some time to speak with them, talk to them, get to know them. Always try if you can, and if it's possible, have like a Keurig machine at your lodge with some pods. So you always have coffee that's available. You always have, coffee and tea or something available. So if they're coming, you can give them that. Let them know they're welcome. And that even starts earlier. Let the community know that it's is welcome. Hold open houses, hold special events. Go to community events, go to fairs, whatever it is. Go to new businesses. Like start by just letting the community know that the Masonic Lodge is part of the community and wants to welcome them into the building, and then hold events to do so. Because if you are waiting till they're a member to make them feel welcome, um, you've already kind of missed the point. It's too late. But I also think this idea of needing to feel welcome, like I've gone to this a few times, and Mikey, if you want to help me out with this as well, like, I do think there's a certain personality and a certain personality trait which is going to be inclined to want to be a Freemason and want to be part of Freemasonry, whether they feel welcome or not, whether the meeting goes well or not. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to make them feel welcome, but what it does mean is, like, there are some people you can make them feel as welcome as possible. Eventually, they're going to decide they don't want to be a Freemason. And there are others where maybe they won't enjoy, you don't try to make them feel welcome, they'll still love it. I think there's a certain type of person that's naturally inclined to enjoy Freemasonry. I think it's the type of person that's curious. So sometimes I think we need to focus more on that as well. What are the personality types that we're bringing into Freemasonry? If that makes sense. Like, I've been to some wonderful meetings. I've also been to some dog's breakfast of Masonic meetings, and yet I keep coming back, week after week, day after day. And ultimately, that doesn't reflect anything about the membership in the lodge or Freemasonry. That reflects on me and my love of Freemasonry and my personality. Well, I can't say whether Freemasonry is desperate or not. I can speak to myself, I can't pronounce your name, Megacorp. And what I'd say is, I am desperate to talk about Freemasonry because I love Freemasonry. And I have this venue where I can talk about it. So why would I not take advantage of this? Do you know what I mean? It's silly to have this venue and have the ability to talk about something I love and choose not to do so. I would say that might be one of the most silly things. Why would you say that, Lobola? Define irrelevant. I certainly think we have less relevance in the 2025 than we did in the 70s. But why would you say that we are irrelevant? I definitely wouldn't say that. I think that's a very silly statement to make, to be honest. Well, so Marlin Star, that's kind of a misconception within Freemasonry or outside of Freemasonry, and even within that, a criminal record is an automatic disqualifier. I've known Masons who've joined with criminal records in the past. Now, the thing you need to understand is Freemasonry is decentralized. There is no single governing rule or single governing body. So there are some jurisdictions where they don't even ask if you have a criminal record when you join. There are some lodges that ask, some lodges that don't. There are some jurisdictions where it is a requirement to get a criminal record check before you join the lodge. There are some where it's optional. There are some that do. There's some that don't. There are also some where having a criminal record, I believe, is an automatic disqualification. But there are others where it depends on the nature of the crime, how long ago, has he changed his ways. What I always tell brothers is, if they have a criminal record check, or if they have a criminal record, but they want to join Freemasonry, I always tell them, don't be afraid to go to the lodge and just ask and explain the situation, explain what happened, explain the charge. Don't wait for them to ask. Tell them in advance so it doesn't look like you're trying to hide anything. Explain maybe how you tried to make amends or pay back your debt to society, and go from there and let the lodge decide. If you are already a Mason and you commit a crime, you will likely or should be suspended from Freemasonry, because at that point you're already a Mason and you've, amongst other things, taken an obligation to be a good citizen. Committing a crime is against that. But that doesn't mean you can't, after you've paid your penitence or served your time or, done your probation, whatever it might be, that doesn't mean you can't then reapply to join and express your, and again, talk about what happened, the mistake you made, why you made the mistake, and how you're trying to be better. So Freemasonry is, you're wrong. about all of that, Bilbo Baggins. Freemasonry is not demonic, and it does not worship Lucifer, nor does it worship any being. Freemasonry is not a religion. Lobola, you seem to care because you're on here talking to me, so you must care about Freemasonry at least a little bit. I would suggest if you don't care, you wouldn't be on here talking about it. And I care about Freemasonry. I love it. So I can say, at least for me, I love it. Um, yes, that's right. We're going into the edgy era. How's it going, Mr. Keeps? Once again, welcome back. I hope you got your postcard. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. And Lucifer is not the ultimate boss in Freemasonry. There is no ultimate boss in Freemasonry. I suppose if you want to say there is an ultimate, I'm trying to think of the term, an ultimate ideal within Freemasonry, it is to be a good man and true. However, how you define being a good man gets quite complicated. Um, and I can just respect that because everybody has a slightly different view on what it means to be good and what it means to be a good man. But I do think there is generally common understandings of that and common ideas. And I think Freemasonry does its best to promote those ideas like temperance, virtue, kindness, charity, benevolence, tolerance. I would say, in many ways, the ultimate ideal of Freemasonry is universal tolerance. Um, my grandpa was a 30. Yeah, the Colombian one, that's what I meant to send you. Was there a European one as well? No, the Colombian one, because that was I got when I was in Colombia from the 100th anniversary of Freemasonry in Colombia. So it's a bit of a keepsake. Who knows? Maybe it might be worth some money someday. I mean, I doubt it, but it was a big deal at the time. It was a really well attended event. I didn't go. At that point, I wasn't really traveling much for Freemasonry, not the way I am now. But I thought it was really cool. Yes, I do believe in a supreme being. I know it's not my fault. It's the light. I don't think my teeth look that bad in here. I know I got a big gap in them, but maybe the light makes it look worse. Um, well, there you go. Um, why so many secrets? Mr. Keeps will tell me, do my teeth look ugly on the stream? So I don't like to use the term secrets. I use the term private information. And there's not that many, to be honest. Um, but here's what I would say. I've talked about this before. There are three reasons to maintain secrets or private information within Freemasonry. The first, a way to maintain the bonds of brotherhood. It's no different than having a family recipe that gets passed down from generation to generation. See, yes, it's fine. I know what you're talking about. Mr. Keeps says it. I know Mr. Keeps has heard this a million times. If you've got a family recipe that's passed down from your grandparents to your parents to you, one generation down, you're not going to share that recipe on in a public area because maintaining the recipe within the family helps maintain the bonds between past and future generations. The other two reasons is again, Freemasonry is decentralized. What that means is there is no single ritual. The rituals are similar, but not the same. And if I start to share information about what I went through within Freemasonry, um, somebody may hear that, decide they want to join. But if they're joining in a different jurisdiction, let's say they're joining in Oregon, United States, which is a different jurisdiction with different rituals, they're not going to be present for their degree. They're going to be expecting certain things. And if those things don't happen, like you want to go into a degree being present mentally, not expecting things. One of my favorite expressions is happiness equals reality minus expectation. If you're going into if you're going into a degree with expectations and not just being present, you're not going to enjoy it as much. And the other thing is, if you do end up joining, let's say in Ontario, my jurisdiction, then by giving away private information, I've given you spoilers. You're not going to enjoy the experience as much. Um, so Bilbo Baggins, I don't talk about specific things that happen within a degree, other than to say I never felt within a degree anything that was unsafe, illegal, or against my civic, familial, spiritual beliefs, familial responsibilities. Here's what I'll say, though, about any threats which may or may not exist. Or not even threats isn't the right term. Any statements that may or may not exist within Freemasonry. I used to work at a legal aid clinic, and I did a lot of work with landlord tenant issues. So people would come in and they would be at risk of getting evicted from their apartments or whatever it might be, and I'd work with them. I was working with this one lady. She was at risk of being evicted for non-payment of rent. And at one point she said to me, um, if I'm lying, because she was saying she paid her rent, the landlord said she didn't. She said, if I'm lying, I'll rip out my tongue. And if I recall correctly, I remember the rip out the tongue thing. She said that specifically, but I also recall correctly something to the effect of, and may I die here, or may God strike me dead, or something to that effect. She didn't mean it literally. She didn't mean she would literally rip out her tongue, or that anybody else could rip out her tongue, or that a lightning bolt would come from the sky and knock her dead. She was using that hyperbole to try to express how important it was that I believe her and how emotional she felt about what she was saying. So it's very common for people to use that type of hyperbole to express the point. The point being, she wanted to make it as clear as she could that she had paid her rent, that she wasn't lying to me, that it was important that I believe her, that it was important that others believe her as well. So it wasn't literal, it was metaphorical. And what I'll say about Freemasonry is you want to take things metaphorically, not literally, when it comes to ritual and symbolism. Um, they are neither defunct nor irrelevant. And no, GUI is wrong. There is no AAA membership within Freemasonry. That's not how it works. No, we don't threaten anybody. There are no threats within Freemasonry. There are metaphors and symbols, but the point is, it's a way for, again, the metaphors and the symbols, they are for many different purposes, but one of which is to reiterate or express the importance of the obligations. It's not literal, it's metaphorical, it's traditional, right? Traditional not the right term, it's metaphorical. It's yeah, I guess I'd use the metaphorical as the best term, right? And again, it goes back to what I talked about when I was working with that woman at the legal aid clinic, and she said, if I'm lying, I'll rip out my tongue. She didn't literally mean that. I don't even think it's possible to do that. What she meant is, it's important that you understand how important I'm taking this, and that's how she chose to express that. Um, Actually, this shirt is honestly though Lobula. You should be like Mr. Keeps can tell you over time. Like I've had some pretty nasty shirts on this stream. I'm not the best at taking care of my like I do a lot of things well. I think I'm great at talking. I think I'm pretty good at this channel, and it's getting better. When it comes to like how I dress, um, I'm not the best at that by any means. So just be happy the shirt is relatively clean. We got some hearts. That's Smokey, I think. Thank you, Smokey, for being here. I hope you're doing well. If that is Smokey, get a chance to please check out his channel. Yes, there he is, Smokey. Get a chance to check out his channel. He does a great job, and it's fun. And me and him do streams together. I think we're gonna do another stream at the 29th on my personal YouTube channel. So the supreme being I believe in, it's not a literal like being in the sense of you imagine like a person with a face or a single entity. It is best described as the rational nature of the universe as understood through science and geometric principles. Well, I don't take showers. I just spray Febreze in the air and roll through it. Um, there were many Masons who were part of George Washington's kind of, I don't know, retinue during the Revolutionary War. Actually, James Monroe, who keeps popping up in the keeps popping up lately in the news thanks to Venezuela and the Monroe/Dunroe doctrine. I think he's calling it that. Part of it is because, Donald Trump, Dunroe, but also I think his argument is the Monroe doctrine is somehow finished and there's a new doctrine that he's installing. So the Monroe doctrine is done. However, James Monroe was a part of George Washington's kind of retinue or group during the Revolutionary War, served with him, and was the second Masonic president. Um, right now, my apartment is incredibly messy, so no, I cannot give you an apartment tour. But maybe one day, who knows? You would be very disappointed if you saw my place. I got to clean it up. And my dad's on this stream, and he'd be very disappointed in me as well for not cleaning my place. What's my star sign? I'm a Virgo. What part of CA? I am from Canada. I am from, actually, I've done tours of my Masonic building before. I'll try to do that again in future because that's a lot of fun. I have them up somewhere. I'm just typing something out quickly here. There we go. All right. Yes, I am Canadian. Proud of Canada. Born and raised in Winnipeg. Currently live in Windsor, Ontario. But Canada is, I've said it before, the greatest country in the world. Um, so I've said it a million times. Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. But yeah, I love Canada. Dreams here, that'd be really fun. We should, I mean, what I'd say is start by coming to Coffee Club. Um, it would be really fun to have you there and we could talk more about it. Detroit is awesome. And somebody asked me above if I knew any Masons in Michigan. I sorry I missed the question. Detroit has a ton of really like I love Detroit. I love Detroit Masons. I've been to the Detroit Masonic Temple probably dozens of times. It's a beautiful building. And Detroit Masonic Temple is absolutely crushing it right now. The director of it is Ryan Grote, and he is doing an amazing job. With that stream, with that building. He's bringing in so many events, so many groups, organizations. I mean, the amount of professional wrestlers he's had through their professional wrestling events alone is incredible. He's got a huge staff. I mean, when you think of Detroit, you should think of the Detroit Masonic Temple. and he's making that being the case. So nothing but respect to the Detroit Masonic Temple. And when you say it's almost the epicenter, I mean, it's the epicenter of Freemasonry in Detroit. There really is no epicenter of Freemasonry. Freemasonry is, again, decentralized, which means there is no single governing body or single governing, pick your term, right? Like there is no single governing anything within Freemasonry. There is no center. Within Freemasonry, there is, the Grand Lodge of Texas is an epicenter for Freemasonry in Texas. Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania is the epicenter in Pennsylvania. That's the really beautiful thing about Freemasonry. Every Mason will find his or her own center based on their Masonic journey and Masonic experiences. But the temple in Detroit is incredible. Biggest Masonic temple in the world. Dream Seeker, that would be an incredible, an absolutely incredible, what's the word I'm looking for? Incredible live stream. I would love to live stream from the pyramids. I mean, one of my goals this year is to make my way to Japan, because Freemasonry is actually supposedly fairly popular within Japan, to my knowledge. I know very little about it there, but I've been told I'd love to learn more about it in Japan. And also, I love professional wrestling. And, Japan is, um, Japan is a major part of, uh, like Japan has a lot of pro wrestling as well. So I'd love to check out both. I think it'd be really, really fun. The pro wrestling there and the Freemasonry there. It would be. And honestly, what I've seen is, hello, CD, how's it going? Fraternal greetings from London. Abdul, thank you for being here. I was just in London. London is incredible. So, just one sec. There we go. Comment. Nice. I mean, Rhino is incredible. He's a great wrestler. He's done a ton. I met him a few times. Really cool dude. CD, how's it going? Thank you for being here. Abdul, thank you for being here. Please hit that like and subscribe button as well. I'd very much appreciate it. I did go to London and it was awesome. I did not get to spend a ton of time there because I had to go from London, basically up north, almost immediately to Newcastle and then Edinburgh. So no Freemason lodges do professional assassinations, nor do any Masonic lodges do public shaming. Someone's been spending way too much time checking out nonsense on the internet. Yes, we got a ton of snow as well. We still had a Masonic meeting though last night. We still went to Rose Lodge. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. Rose Lodge is crushing it as always. I loved being there. So I did also want to mention I have put two questions on my YouTube community page where I post things. January is International Quality of Life Month. Quality of life is about living better. One way to live better is to practice relaxation. Regular relaxation reduces stress and improves your overall well being. Practices such as meditation, listening to soothing music, or even making time for a favorite hobby can help calm the mind and body and promote relaxation. These practices lower blood pressure, reduce anxiety, improve sleep, enhance overall mental health and emotional health. Quiz: how can a Masonic lodge Encourage the practice of relaxation within a Masonic meeting. Set aside 15 minutes at the start of the meeting for breathing exercises. Encourage Masonic journaling by giving prompts for self reflection. Set aside time for guided meditation in lodge. Use a guide in refreshment, or all of the above. Uh, what do you think the answer is? Let me know. And then January, another poll question I asked. January is International Quality of Life Month. Quality of life is about living better. One way to live better is to stay social. It can be hard to prioritize quality time with friends and loved ones in the chaos of everyday life, but maintaining social connections is important for your emotional well being and cognitive health. Try this. Pick a recurring day and time to connect, whether in person or virtually, that works for you and your friends. Treat it like an appointment you cannot miss. Quiz: what are the benefits of staying social? Reduces feelings of loneliness and depression, improves memory and cognitive function, provides a sense of purpose and fulfillment, or all of the above. What do you think the answer is? And I gave a comment in there as well. Freemasonry is an incredibly useful tool through which a member, including an aging member, can stay social. That is true. Well, I mean, Freemasonry borrowed a great deal from Eastern philosophies. Again, not exclusively, but it did definitely borrow a lot from Eastern philosophies, especially Chinese mythology, which people don't realize. Um, but I would say not, not every meditative or relaxation technique needs to happen before the lodge starts. You can do meditation before the lodge begins or just before the lodge ends. And journaling can be done at home, but the lodge or the master can give prompts of self reflection. So they can say, okay, today I want, or before the next meeting, I want everybody to journal about their favorite thing about Freemasonry. Or I want everybody to journal. Actually, I have journal prompts here. Hold on just one sec. Let me see if I can find them now. Um, I mean, I don't know if I'd use the term Bible character. I'm not sure if I would like the term character necessarily. I would use the term maybe figure because character, I mean, there's a lot I find fascinating. King Solomon is, the one that as a Mason, I suppose I'm somewhat duty bound to pick. Um, but King Solomon, I find Noah a really fascinating character. Uh, but I'd say King Solomon. So here's some journaling prompts that, again, you could give to a Mason to practice relaxation. What are three things about Freemasonry that you love and would not ever want to change? What are some things that Freemasonry does not have and which you are grateful it does not have? If you had the chance to adjust three things about your Masonic Lodge in particular, what would they be? What are the reasons for your choices? What steps can you take to make those adjustments possible? For every challenge that Freemasonry is facing, many Freemasons are working hard to overcome those challenges. Find at least one positive effort or solution to a Masonic challenge. If you feel stuck in your Masonic career, what is one small action you can take, no matter how insignificant, that could open a path forward and make you feel less stuck? What is something that you do that makes you feel bad about your Masonic experience? Is there an opposite action you can take to make you feel good? When was a time that you felt completely refreshed within your Masonic experience? Which brethren were you with? Is there anything about that time that you can recreate today? Write down 5 cool Masonic experiences or accomplishments that bring you a sense of pride. What is it about those experiences or accomplishments that bring you that sense of pride? How can you work these experiences into your day-to-day Masonic life? What is something that you used to struggle with Masonically that you no longer struggle with? Have you rewarded yourself for this success? If you haven't, what could you do to celebrate? Think of a time a brother Mason impressed you in some way. Now flip it. What if you have impressed a brother Mason without realizing it? What is it about you that others would or should find impressive? So take a few moments. That can be a Masonic journaling exercise that you do, which can help practice relaxation. So those are the poll questions. Answer them, share them, comment on them, etc., etc. Well, I may be sad, factual, but what is sadder, the person who's on here or the person who is streaming? You're the one who's on here watching me. So what does that say about you? All right. So let's put you in a little bit of a timeout for a second here. We're going to give it a bit of time. We're going to wait to see who joins. Once again, I hope you guys will take some time to answer that poll question. Mark on the 21st, my next 24-hour live stream. I'm going to be, amongst other things, trying something different again. I'm going to be trying to stream on multiple platforms at once. We're going to see how that goes. I'm going to see if I can, when I talk about streaming, I'm going to try to stream on both YouTube and Twitch, and potentially even have a X space at the same time. I'm not sure necessarily how that's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to try it. We're going to see how it goes. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Because it's one of those things where I do want to see if it's possible for me in any way to grow my online and social media presence outside of this. Yes, I do. So I've done 24-hour live streams in the past. I find them a lot of fun. I'm one of those people who doesn't need a lot of sleep, although getting sleep is important. So I do it the 21st of most months. I've tried different things. This will be something else interesting to try. Um, it depends, but significant numbers anyways. It grows, right? So I definitely got, higher watch time hours on my 24 live streams than anything else. Um, but actually, I say that recently it has been changing. I have been getting some pretty decent watch time hours just on even 2 hour streams. So it's one of those things where, it kind of grows. It's just about consistent effort. What I would say is that's the most important thing, doing something consistently. Even the 24-hour live streams, I think the reason that they do well is because I'm pretty consistent doing them doing them the 21st of every month. I will not light free. I will not. I tend not to do that, although I have in the past done streams together, so I mean, I did. I got my watch. It took me years to get my watch hours. Like I started this channel 6 years ago. It was in the last year that I got all my watch hours, both the 3,000 and the 4,000. It's going to be the 21st of January, starting at 2 p.m. The reason it starts at 2 p.m. and not 1 p.m. is um, my Patreons and members, my Patreons selected 2 p.m. as their preferred start time. So obviously, I'm grateful for every Patreon member, and I will do quizzes and polls and, ask them what they want me to cover. For example, I will be covering Masonic history during my 24-hour live stream because once again, um, the members, both Patreon and YouTube members, asked for more Masonic history, so I will be covering that as well. So January 21st, 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, I'm going to be trying to do this both on YouTube, Twitch, even going to try to open up a X space if I can. I have no idea what that's going to be like, how that's going to work, but we'll see. Could be a lot of fun. Could be a lot of fun. All right, we're going to hang out for a bit. And by the way, there is something I wanted to talk about, um, which is fall prevention, which, believe me, after yesterday, here in Windsor, in Montreal, where I guess they got 13 centimeters or inches, or I think it was centimeters. A lot of places got a lot of snow, a lot of ice. Fall prevention is actually pretty important. All right, goodbye, Dad. Go get your pizza, and I love you. But for now, I just want to give it a couple more minutes. I want to see who else jumps in the chat if anybody else does so. And by the way, don't forget when it comes to uh, again, fall prevention, that is on everybody, but that includes being on, that is also on Masonic buildings and Masonic lodges and temples. You need to, if you need to do things such as, there's a lot of different things you need to do and you should do. You need to salt, shovel, keep sidewalks clear, keep entrances clear of snow. Might be worth taking a look at your fire escapes, making sure they're clear of snow, icing, but also, again, if you, let's say you notice there's a lot of snow and ice buildup on the sidewalks around your building or on the streets even, use 311. Contact your city councilor, contact your city. Ask them to come and clean out your area, clean out your parking lot, either you or the city, depending who owns it, etc., right? It's incredibly important that we as Freemasons pay attention to those things, and that you as a Freemason, if you're traveling to lodge, do what you can to keep yourself safe as well. We'll talk about how you do that soon. Yes, my dad is a Mason. He's a Mason out of Winnipeg. So, it's hard to be talking about fall prevention. Winnipeg gets lots of ice, lots of snow. We still make it though. So, if you can make it in Winnipeg, in a Winnipeg winter, you can make it in anywhere winter. Well, sure. I mean, there are a lot of Freemasons who, for example, um, you can absolutely. There's some Freemasons who are supportive of being on YouTube and being active and talking about Freemasonry. There are some who prefer we go back to a more 70s, 80s style approach, which is we're very quiet about it, don't talk about it. I'm definitely obviously on the former. But no two Freemasons think the same about any of this stuff, right? And that's really important to keep in mind and remember. There is no single view on Freemasonry or what Freemasonry is or how it best operates. There are Freemasons who have all sorts of different views. That's the beautiful thing about Freemasonry, is the different views of it and on it. It's one of the things I love about it the most. Yeah, well, I don't believe we should ever advertise for Freemasonry. I don't believe advertising is best. I think what we should do is talk about our own experiences, why we love it. Even it's nothing wrong with talking about maybe why you're not a huge fan of it either, right? You can do both, and you should be willing to do both. I don't think Freemasonry will ever grow if we're not willing to be critical of it at times, especially when it's deserving. However, I think the criticisms of it should be more often than not done in private first. There's this old expression about a lot of different groups and ideas, which is praise in public, criticize in private. I think there's a value to that. Um, yes, I do corpse mankind, but you have to accept it. You have to be willing to fight back against those things at times as well, but you have to accept it also. Um, that you're willing to push back against it. That doesn't mean you do so by being overly rude or whatever it is, but you have to be firm, let's say, and call people out. If somebody asks me the satanic question once, then so be it. But if they keep coming back on the stream, repeating the same questions or the same nonsense about Satanism over and over again, at that point, I think it's okay to be a bit firmer with them. Well, I think it's not even old bros, it's just older school mentality, right? There are a lot of younger Masons who I'm trying to think what the word is. There are a lot of older school Masons who they might be brand new to they might be a year into Freemasonry, but they have very similar old school ideas in that they don't want people talking about Freemasonry on the internet, or maybe they could just feel like they joined Freemasonry to get away from social media. And seeing somebody on YouTube talking about it, it's like you can't get away from it anywhere. But I guess what I would say is you try your best. Um, and again, not everybody's going to agree with you, and that's okay. No, Corpse. I don't agree there's some strangeness. I guess I would need to know more. What do you mean by strangeness? I'm not sure what that means. I mean, I've never seen anything I would consider strange about Freemasonry. It's a civic group, a social group. Now, keep in mind, I'm very active within it, and that has its own issues, right? Because when you're active within Freemasonry, what can seem strange to the outside starts to seem very normal on the inside, right? Like, for example, I used to work in a jail. I've talked about this before, and I remember the first day going into the jail. I remember thinking to myself, like, there's a lot of strange things about working in a jail. The way you can't go through one door until the door behind you closes and you hear that click, kind of, having to leave everything outside, like leave your cell phone outside, working with people who've done some pretty terrible things, and, reading about what they've done. But after a few months, it's just started to feel normal. And to a certain point where nothing seems strange anymore. So you need to be really careful on that and on making sure, I can understand why somebody on the outside may, for example, um, find elements of Freemasonry unusual, but believe me, you join, it becomes just another part of your life. So there you go. I've never heard of any Masonic caves being purchased and closed to the public, though it doesn't shock me. I've heard about a lot of Masonic degrees that take place in caves because it's fun, it's cool, it's something different, it's interesting. There's also this idea of Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry. You can't get much more surrounded by stone than in a mine or in a cave. But the idea of closing to the public, I could just be they want to use them for Masonic ceremonies exclusively or use it as a Masonic meeting place exclusively, in which case I guess it makes sense, right? If it's owned by the Masons, they don't want people getting in there. There could also be insurance reasons, right? Like if I own something and I open it to the public and somebody gets injured while in there, then am I on the hook for that from an insurance perspective? But I've never heard specifically of that, so I can't say for sure. I would love to live in a cave, but I've never lived in a cave, but I know various groups own caves for various reasons, sometimes to use as a clubhouse, sometimes for tourism purposes, sometimes for, I know Masons will perform ceremonies in caves. Again, they'll usually rent them from the cave owner, sometimes for business purposes, who knows? So again, I can understand a group purchasing a cave and then closing it to the public, again, for insurance reasons. I hope you study me in 200 years, and I hope people like what they see. Please take a moment and hit the like and subscribe button, by the way. I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you, the real cowboy. I appreciate that. Well, I mean, the real cowboy, there's a lot to go with there. Yes, the Freemasons, we are good people. As a general rule, we're people. So we're both good and bad. We have all the best and worst qualities of humans. I definitely don't believe that there is such a thing as serpent people. I mean, people hurt children. It sucks. And I think we as a society have to do all we can to protect children, but I don't believe in the conspiracies or serpent people or any of that nonsense. People are bad enough on their own. They don't need help from serpents. Um, yes, Leonardo, that's a great way to put it. Things are absolutely strange when you're not used to them. If you took somebody who's never been to a Catholic mass, put them in a Catholic mass, they're going to find it strange. They're going to find it strange until they get used to it. Welcome, Leonardo, by the way. I feel like it's been a while. Um, oh, well, then you can look at it that way, sure. But I know some people who think it's literally the case, right? Um, so, corpse, Freemasonry is decentralized, which means there's not a single rule on trans membership. I will say my favorite rule is from the United Grand Lodge of England, which has stated that trans men are welcome to join Freemasonry. I think that came from 2018, if I recall correctly, was the policy, and I think it's the best policy within Freemasonry. I will say I would have no issue sitting with a trans member at all. So yeah. Yeah, Leonardo, it's great to have you here. I hope you're doing well. Um, Thank you for joining. It's been way too long. I don't think I do. I mean, it's possible I wouldn't know, right? This idea of, I don't like to use this term passing or whatever it is. I mean, but there's not always a guarantee you would know necessarily. I'm not running around asking people, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. Um, but again, policies are different everywhere, so you need to keep those policies in mind. I do not, Pilgrims Pondering Ministry. Please hit like and subscribe, by the way. I do not think the Freemasons control the outcome of any wars, revolutionary or otherwise. And the thing about the Revolutionary Wars, you need to keep in mind both King George and George Washington were Freemasons, and they were on opposite sides of the conflict. So they would not want to, if they were controlling the outcome, they would, the interests of King George and the interests of George Washington were very different. So how would they settle that dispute? As a rule, no, Corpse Man. I don't believe in the supernatural. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't think anything is impossible, but I don't believe in the supernatural. I believe in rationality. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Like all disputes, you should settle them on the outside of the lodge. And sometimes if you need to bring another, if you need to bring another lodge or another member of the lodge in, like the worshipful master, to try to mediate the dispute, you can do that as well. Um, Mikey, I'm not sure what you're going to use, what I say, but whatever I said, I'm glad you're going to use it, and I hope that it comes in handy for you. Well, there have been schisms. I mean, there were schisms within America and the Revolutionary War, right? You had some Masons who were on the side of the Revolutionary War. You had plenty of Masons who were loyalists. I mean, Benedict Arnold, right? So Yeah, there is no like Freemasonry is a political organization, right? Sorry, is an apolitical organization. Excuse me. People are gonna cut that. Freemasonry is an apolitical organization, which means you have Masons at any given point when it comes to political questions. You have Masons on every and all side of it. You have Masons on the side of, and that was true for the Revolutionary War as well. There were some Masons who were supportive of Washington and the founding fathers. There were some who were not. Some Masons came to Canada, right, during the Revolutionary War. So you need to keep those things in mind. When people will ask, like, what is the Masonic position on X or Y, there is no quote unquote Masonic position. That's not how it works. So you need to keep those things in mind. We're going to give it a bit more time. Please jump in the chat. Say, let me know how you're doing. And thank you for being here. As always, I hope everybody's having an excellent, excellent night or day, I should say. Answer the poll questions that I posted, the quizzes, I should say. That'd be very helpful as well. The more liking, sharing, commenting, all that jazz you guys do, believe me, the better it is for the channel. So I hope you guys will do so. Thank you, Pilgrims Pondering Ministry. What do I do for fun? I do so. I used to enjoy. I used to enjoy video games. I still play video games sometimes. My favorite video game is Dead Space, either one, two, or three. I also really enjoy. I also really enjoy Assassin's Creed because Assassin's Creed Part Three because of all the connections it has to Freemasonry. I enjoy scary movies. I love horror movies, especially Nightmare on Elm Street, but I enjoy them all. And then most of my time is spent doing this stuff. So, yeah, I'm here chatting about Freemasonry. But I've talked about this before. It's incredibly important within Freemasonry that you have things that you enjoy outside of Freemasonry, right? One of the worst things that can happen is you spend so much time focusing on Freemasonry that you end up um, burning yourself out. And I will be back on at 1 a.m. tonight as well. So please make sure you guys follow me then at 1 a.m. or check me out then. And I hope everybody is doing very well. It happens inside Grand Lodges, Leonardo. It happens inside lodges. It happens inside temple boards. I mean, debates, fights, whatever it is, those things are part of Freemasonry. Usually, they're part of any organization, any group. It's human nature. Usually, my suggestion is, as much as possible, try to stay out of it and do your own thing. But if you have to get involved, pick a side, argue for your side, but allow democracy to reign. I don't drink beer. I don't drink light free. I've never had a drink of alcohol before. So there you go. We're going to wait to see who else jumps on the chat to say hello. I hope you guys have marked out your 24-hour calendars. Marked out the 24-hour live stream, January 21st. I do not smoke. I used to smoke, but it's been a long time since I've had any cigarettes. So yeah, it's been probably a few years. I guess I'm very boring. What's going on, Champion Wizard? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Um, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. They may light free. It depends on the lodge and the Grand Lodge. Some jurisdictions are dry. The rule is no, no alcohol in lodges in that area. Some lodges choose to be dry, um, but some lodges are. Um, will serve alcohol. I would say, obviously, if you're serving alcohol, the most important thing is you need to, you absolutely, in those cases, need to make sure you have the proper certifications, licenses. So, for example, within Freemasonry, within Ontario, to serve alcohol in a lodge, you need to first have Smart Serve. You need to have proper insurance, whatever else it might be, and you need to remember any liabilities. How do we square all these circles in life? Imperfectly, but as well as you can, right? Unfortunately, and this is true not just for Freemasonry, but for everybody, it is sometimes very hard to square the circles that exist within life, within what it is to be human, what it is to exist, right? Um, you do your best, though. You do your best. Oh, Minty, what are the top three things that happened in your life? That's a good question. I mean, I'm going to say the first is nothing to do with Freemasonry, but the birth of my godchild. Being a godfather is pretty incredible, and that happened after I was a Freemason. So that's number one. Um, Number two would be, I'm going to make this very broad, but travel. All of the travel I've done since being a Freemason and all the Masonic lodges I've got to visit in the Philippines, Colombia, England, Scotland, Chicago, Glenview, uh, uh, Rio de Janeiro, Texas, all around the world. I've got to travel, and that's been pretty incredible. And number three, starting this channel and meeting all of you. Um, this is the ideal male face, I can tell you that. Yeah, but we don't have to be perfect. We'll never be perfect, and that's okay. Um, right? It's completely okay to um, you find within the imperfections the you use the imperfections to grow. If everything was perfect, there'd be no room for growth, right? Imperfections is what gives us room to grow. If we started off as perfect ashlers, or if we ever made ourselves perfect ashlers, we would never get to a point, we would stop growing, we would stop progressing. And so I think it's really important that we remember that and not be afraid of imperfections, but use them as motivation to grow. Um, yes, as Mikey C says, yes, we never claim to make anyone perfect, nor should we, but we should claim to make good men better if we can, or to make communities better, right? I've always said that Freemasonry should first and foremost be an outward looking endeavor, which is we look to our communities and we see how can we make them better? How can we build them into something better? And I still believe that to be the case, for the record. So it is, as I noted, we did have quite a nice snowstorm yesterday in many places in Canada and the United States. Um, it is worth remembering fall prevention in winter. Along with cold temperatures, winter also brings slippery, unsafe surfaces. There are a few ways to help reduce the risk of slips and falls this season. Choose sturdy winter boots with non-slip soles or add removable ice cleats for extra traction. If you use a cane or a crutch or a walker, consider attachable tips for ice spikes to improve stability on icy surfaces. Slow down, take shorter deliberate steps when walking outdoors. Watch for areas that look wet, shiny, or uneven. These can be deceivingly slippery. Stay safe and steady this winter. A few small adjustments can make a big difference. If you are part of a Masonic lodge or building, salt the use salt, use sand, use whatever you need to make the entranceways into your building as non-slip as possible. Shovel to get rid of excess snow. You can get companies to do it or try to do it yourself. But think about those things, think about brothers who are coming who might be at risk of slipping and falling. Don't forget also, don't just shovel the main entrances, shovel your wheelchair entrances, shovel your accessible entrances. Those are incredibly important to do also. Just yesterday, there was an issue with the main doors got shoveled and cleared, but not the accessible entrance. I'm sure it's done by now, but just keep that in mind. Um, and so, yeah, remember fall prevention matters. It's also worth, maybe if you're going to a Masonic meeting or anywhere, but a Masonic meeting, ask a brother to walk with you to give you extra support. To hold on to your arm as you're traveling, especially if you are, for example, older or less sure on your feet. Don't be afraid to ask your brother for help. Um, yes, as James says, maybe James, if James is going to a Masonic meeting, let's say, he could ask a brother, "Hey, can you walk with me?" Um, just to be safe. Especially because one of the worst things that could happen, I mean, it's bad no matter what, but if you fall, slip, and hit your head and nobody's around, you could have a concussion, you could be knocked out. If it's cold enough, then, and you pass out, hypothermia becomes an issue. The other thing to keep in mind is it may be worth, if you're older, getting one of those special monitors either on your wrist or you wear on your neck that if you fall and there's no one around, you slip, they will know and they can trace your location. Um, the other thing I'll mention, again, because of the traffic, or because of the snow and because of the ice, is having a safety package, a safety kit in your car. Again, whether you're driving to and from a Masonic meeting or driving to and from anywhere, having a kit in your car is incredibly important. The essentials would be and could include a multi-tool, um, a flashlight, a power bank, a medic standard first aid kit, a small fire extinguisher, a tire inflator or air compressor, and a military wool blanket to keep yourself warm, patch and seal tape, warning triangles, and a safety vest, and gloves. Um, so I would say those are some of the most important things to keep in mind. Think about your particular vehicle, how it might impact your kit. Think about the area in which you live, the climate of the area. Are you living in a place where you're going to be dealing with freezing cold temperatures? Think about your trip duration. If you're going to be taking let's say it takes you 10, 20 minutes to drive from your home to the Masonic Temple, you probably don't need to pack, for example, food and water. But if you're driving 3, 4 hours for let's say a Masonic trip in a different jurisdiction, then it's a little bit different. So you need to keep those things in mind as well. Um, think about visibility, think about your medical needs. Do you need to pack extra medication, extra EpiPens, extra insulin in case you're trapped for a significant period of time? Right? All of this stuff you need to be thinking about. And we as Freemasons should be encouraging our members to think about it as well. Right? That's very, very important. Just gonna wait to see who else jumps on. Just waiting to see who else jumps on and wants to say hello. Anything you guys want to chat about, please let me know. We're at that stage where we're just going to give it another 10 minutes or so. Then we'll end this stream. I'll be back on with another stream again tonight at 1 a.m. But give it a bit of time. See who jumps on. See who says hello. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Well, so Champion Wizard, part of the joining process is yes, you need to have sponsors. You need to have two sponsors. It will usually be sponsors from the, I mean, it has to be sponsors from the lodge in which you're joining. So, but you don't think about sponsors at the start. Just go express your interest in joining, talk to the lodge about why you want to join, and eventually they will. They will they will contact you, they will find a sponsor for you, they will do all of that jazz. So don't think about it at the start about getting a sponsor. They will find out they will find you a sponsor as they get to know you. But at the start, just get to know them. And, you can get 2 sponsors, 3 sponsors, 4 sponsors. The sponsors will come. The key is making that first step, that first approach. Do I recommend a good lodge? I don't know a lot about the lodges in British Columbia at Champion Wizard, but what I would say is I can't recommend any. I don't really know the lodges there well, but I mean, what I would say is really any lodge would be good. What matters more is the technical details or the logistics of like, does the lodge meet on a night that you're free or does it meet on a night that you're busy? Can you move things around and switch nights? Like at the start, just go and approach them and express your interest in joining and talk to them. Don't rush the process. Let it take time, right? That is really one of the issues I think we had in Freemasonry is for a long time, somebody would come and knock on the door and we'd immediately get them an application, get them some sponsors, and they could join within a couple weeks, which really, or a couple months, sometimes, you'd have the turnaround would be, let's say 2 months from the first knock on the door to them joining. We've gotten much better now in Freemasonry about taking our time a little bit more, getting to know them better, getting to know them before you even give them an application form to fill out and before you even get them a sponsor. I am not part of Skull and Bones, Leroy. I am part of Freemasonry. So the fees, again, it depends. Every lodge sets its own fees depending on, usually it depends on how expensive it is for the lodge to operate, and that usually depends on where it's located and the town it's in. Bigger towns, bigger cities tend to be more expensive. When I joined at the time, the initial cost was a one-time payment of $500, and that was for the one-time fee, and then $100 for the yearly dues. And then after that, it was $100 per year. Um, Now I'm part of five Masonic lodges. The least expensive lodge, I pay $25 American per year. The most expensive is 250 as of right now. So that's a question though that you would ask the lodge which you're considering joining, because again, everyone is different. So you just need to keep that in mind. We're going to give it a few more minutes, wait to see who joins. By the way, I hope you guys will not forget 24-hour live stream coming up. Also, though, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Consider a 99-cent super chat. I know it seems like a small amount, but 99 cents, that even helps big time. Um, Champion Wizard, I hope you'll be there for my 24-hour live stream, and I hope that you guys will join me for that and just hang out with me. While I'm talking about a lot of different stuff, Masonic history. We're going to be talking about meditation, breathing exercises, a lot of fun stuff. So join me for that. And I'm going to be streaming on multiple channels. I'm going to try to stream on both Twitch, YouTube. I'm even going to try to do a Twitter space if I can. Thank you, Champion Wizard. We're going to give it a few more minutes and just wait to see how it goes. Just waiting to see when else jumps on the chat to say hello. We'll give it a few more minutes. I'll be back on tonight at 1 a.m. And yeah, thank you again, everybody, for joining this stream. We're gonna have a great day tomorrow as well. Grandmaster's coming into town, which is always really enjoyable. It's gonna be a blast. Looking forward to it. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Thank you, Light Free. Once again, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I hope everybody is going to be having an excellent, excellent day. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. as well. So I look forward to seeing you all then also. Consider a 99-cent super chat. Answer my poll questions. Share the stream. Find me all around. It's going to be a lot of fun. So all is well, Rondo. Thank you for being here. I don't know how much of my topics you heard or when you jumped on, but I was talking about fall prevention, which is Very important with this weather we got right now, as well as safe driving practices for people coming or having a safety kit in your car. This is stuff that we as Freemasons should be thinking about and encouraging our brothers to think about as well. Yes, 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, light free. I do 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. streams, which is crazy to think. I honestly get more people showing up for the 1 p.m. streams. I don't know why. Um, but I find that really fascinating that apparently, for whatever reason, my audience is like me, a bunch of night owls. Um, 3H17 in Quebec. Burrs Menelaar. I mean, I think, I don't know who the we is to which you refer, but I think human beings are very often capable of finding the light in the darkness. I think that's one of our greatest strengths. Unfortunately, we can also very often find the darkness within light, which you have to be careful about. We have a tendency to take good things and make them seem not so good, which is an issue as well. Um, yes, 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Championship Wizard. So I do these streams 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. But my 1 a.m. stream, I tend to get way more people watching than the 1 p.m. streams. So it must be, who knows why? Maybe my people are night owls like me. We the Travelers. Um, I mean, Freemasons are travelers. I consider myself in some ways a professional traveler, and I love to travel. It's my favorite thing to do. I did not. I took a lift. It cost me $5.75, so I think it was worth it. But I did go, and it was worth it for a lot of reasons, including the fact that I got some absolutely delicious food. It was pulled pork tacos, and it was incredibly delicious. All right, Burzum Alar. I forget if you've been on the stream before. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I'm traveling to the east as well. Well, literally, I've been to the east. I'm currently the worshipful master of my lodge and have been the worshipful master in the past. But yeah, I am a worshipful master of Border Cities Lodge number 554. Fremont Lodge number 15. Where's Fremont Lodge located? And I'm going to call you Berza Manlar. I hope that you will hit the like and subscribe button if you've not done so before. Where's Fremont Lodge located? Isn't that in California? Isn't Fremont in California? Midwest? Cool. I love the Midwest. I mean, I go to Chicago all the time. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. I know the Midwest is more than Chicago, but I do love Chicago and Illinois in general. So far, I know of no Freemasons that have been deported to Masonistan, but who knows? Don't give anybody ideas. Because next thing you know, I'll find myself in a one-way trip to Masonistan. Just watch. There probably is a country called Masonistan out there, though I've never heard of it. Thank you for that, Berza Manalar. I don't know if you saw my stream. I was talking today about fall prevention, safety in one's car, because we got a couple big storms. We also have all right, we had a big storm like yesterday. We also have an aging Masonic population, and fall prevention is something worth considering. So, and how we can make sure that our brothers are safe and, don't fall. It could even be something as simple as if you see a brother who is leaving lodge and he's older and you know that he struggles and you know that it's icy or slippery outside, take a few moments to walk with him to his car. The worst thing that could happen is he slips, falls, hits his head, concusses himself, gets knocked out. And if nobody went with him, nobody's going to, know if anything happened to him. He could be out there 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes, who knows how long. And if you're dealing with cold temperatures, cold temperatures, possible hypothermia, it's something you need to keep in mind. And then also reminding brothers, if they're traveling to and from lodge in a car, do they have a safety kit in their car? Do they have a safety kit so if anything happens to them, they have flares, first aid kits, a charged cell phone, a portable charger if they need it? You know, pay attention. It's little things, but greatness is little things compounded over time. So, well, I am trying to get my passport for the United Kingdom. I keep working on it and then putting it off and working on it and putting it off. I probably could do my application at this point, to be honest, but I'm almost done it, or I mean, send my application in. I just keep meaning to and never getting around to it. All right, guys, I think we're going to end this stream for now. Once again, thank you everybody for being here. About to sneeze? Maybe? Phew. There we go. All right, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button. Consider a 99-cent super chat. Answer my poll, answer my quizzes. Check out my channel. I will see you all very soon once again. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.